Let's talk about the term soft skills. We hear it all the time in the business world, right? But what if I told you that this seemingly innocent phrase is actually one of the most misleading and maybe even one of the most damaging in business today? We're about to uncover the hard truth about so-called soft skills. This quote right here gets straight to the point. The term soft skills isn't just a clumsy phrase. It's actively hurting teams, derailing major projects, and it's costing companies some of their very best people. So how can two little words cause so much trouble? Let's get into it. All right, first up, this is a dangerously misleading term. The problem starts with the word itself. It's not the skills that are the issue. It's the label. A label that totally misunderstands what they're worth and how hard they actually are. I mean, think about it. The word soft sends a pretty powerful message, doesn't it? It implies these skills are kind of fluffy, optional, a nice to have that you can focus on after the real, hard, technical work is finished. But that is a seriously flawed way to look at it. And look, this isn't just a theory. I've spent the last decade as a leadership coach building these kinds of programs inside global companies, and I have seen with my own eyes how ignoring these skills leads to real, expensive, and totally avoidable failures. So let's walk through a story that I'm sure will sound familiar. It plays out in offices every single day. Let's look at the anatomy of a failure that comes directly from this blind spot. It all starts with what seems like a great decision. You take your best technical person, a total superstar engineer, and you promote them to manager. I mean, it makes sense, right? They know the job inside and out, so they must be the perfect person to lead the team. But you fast forward just 6 months, and things are not great. The whole energy of the team has just vanished. Your best people are suddenly updating their LinkedIn profiles, or even worse, they've quietly quit. They're still there, but they've completely checked out. And pretty soon, this internal team problem becomes a very external business problem. Project deadlines get missed, then they get missed again. All of a sudden, VPs are getting angry phone calls from stakeholders. The pressure is on. So the company does a post-mortem to figure out what went wrong, and they discover something really strange. Technically, nobody failed. The code was perfect, the architecture was sound, all the hard skills were on point. So what on earth happened? Well, the real failure happened in the gaps between all that technical work. Communication completely broke down. That really crucial, tough conversation about accountability, it just never happened. Key stakeholders weren't kept in the loop, and the team itself didn't feel heard, so they just stopped raising red flags until it was way too late. This brings us to what I think is the most important mindset shift we have to make. We've got to reframe how we look at these failures. They aren't about someone's character flaws, they're about something else entirely. Let this sink in for a second because it's everything. It's so easy to dismiss these problems as personality issues, right? Oh, she's just not a natural leader, or he's not a people person. But that's a dead end. That suggests the problem can't be fixed. So you have two ways of looking at it. On one side, there's the myth. It's a personality failure. It's innate, it's fixed, it's just who you are. On the other side, you have the reality. It's a skill failure. It's about what you do, and that is something that can absolutely be learned and developed. And that right there is the good news. That's the actionable truth. The second you call something a skill failure instead of a personality failure, you've made it solvable. It means that brilliant engineer from our story wasn't a bad person. They were just missing a different set of tools for their new role. Okay, so moving on. Just because these skills are learnable does not mean they're easy. In fact, and this is why the soft label is so absurd, they are some of the absolute hardest skills for any professional to master. Let's just put it into perspective. To get a technical certification, you might study hard for a few weeks, you pass a test, and you're done. But learning how to navigate a really high-stakes conflict with a colleague, that takes years of practice, emotional control, and strategic thinking. So I'll ask you, which one of those really sounds soft? And think about some of these other genuinely difficult skills. Influencing a group of people when you have no formal authority over them. Getting two senior VPs to agree on a path forward. Structuring and delivering difficult feedback in a way that actually changes someone's behavior without destroying your relationship. These are not soft skills. These are advanced strategic abilities. So why has this soft label stuck around for so long? This quote absolutely nails it. We don't call them soft because they're easy. We call them soft because they're difficult to quantify. You can't measure stakeholder alignment the same way you can measure lines of code. And in the business world, if we can't measure something, we tend to devalue it.
Okay, now that we really understand the problem, what's the solution? Well, it starts with something simple, but incredibly powerful. If we change our language, we can change our outcomes.
The path forward is really just a two-step process. First, companies have to make a conscious choice to change the language they use. And second, they need to invest in these skills with the same seriousness they invest in technical skills. And that means structured, ongoing programs, not just a one-off lunch and learn session. So, what should we call them instead? Well, how about power skills? Because that's what they do. They empower people. Or human skills because they're fundamental to how we work together. Or leadership behaviors because they are the observable things that great leaders do. Any of these frame them correctly as essential, not optional. And here's the bottom line. Calling them soft skills gives leaders a really easy excuse to cut the training budget. And that lack of budget creates a skill gap in your managers, which ultimately costs you your best employees. There is a direct, causal line from lazy language to losing top talent. So I'll leave you with a question to think about. What language is being used in your workplace? Because recognizing these as the hard, essential, and learnable skills they truly are, that's the first step. How we talk about things directly shapes how much we value them, and that ultimately determines our success.